What's up, YouTube? Welcome to the first course of Coding with Kevin. I'm going to teach you guys how to build a MERN journal app. This is something I decided to build for myself, but now I want to share with you how I did it. Let's take a look at what it's going to look like. So to give you an idea of what we're going to be building, this is our journal app. We're going to be able to have a title with your name on it. We have our journal entries here that are going to have a title, a create date. We have tags where you can go ahead and add keywords or searchable terms. Then we'll have the body of our entry that's going to be cut off. But when you click on this, you'll actually be able to see the entry in full. We have a create page where we can go ahead and create our journal. That's going to have a title. Our tags can be added in separate forms. And then finally, we'll have a search page where you can do things like do first and hit the search and your first entry will pop up. These are where you'll do the searchable keywords. Now, a couple of really cool benefits you're gonna get from this series. First, you're gonna get a full stack application for your portfolio, something that actually does something, and as an unintended benefit, you could actually use it for your journaling as well, and you could build upon it. It's a really full-scale app that once it's done, it's in your hands and you can do what you want with it. Second, this is going to be something that's going to give you a lot of talking points going into any interviews you have moving forward. Actually, this was something that helped me get a job at a company I currently work at, which is based out of the United Kingdom. Third, you're going to be able to go through this step by step with me, and then afterwards, I do have a video called Dockerize Your React App. It'll go one step further, helping you create not only a full stack application, but Dockerize it so you can get experience with that as well. Now, a couple ground rules before we get started, because I want you to view this as you're about to take a course. First, you're going to want to have VS Code installed. We're going to be using that. When you have any issues, I want you to think about the issue. If you have any problems with MongoDB, which the way we're going to be building it, you shouldn't, I want you to reach out to the MongoDB support, because I unfortunately won't be able to answer those questions for you. Second, if you have any code-related questions, I want you to pause. As a developer, we make a lot of money, right? As per hour and per salary. That's kind of why we like to get into this career path. So I want you to get out of the mindset, if you're in it, to, I'm stuck, I need to reach out immediately to ask a question. If you do that on the job, you're going to be taking not only your time, but also another developer's time that might have been solved if you just paused and did some quick Googling. The art of Googling is something you're going to hear me talk about a lot. So Stack Overflow is generally your best place to find answers. To find functions and things, you're going to just want to Google the function name and then JavaScript. So .split JavaScript, .splice JavaScript. And you'll be able to find some answers to those. I want you to make sure you think of that route first before writing in the comments, hey, I'm stuck, I can't figure this out. And then rule number 3, I'm here to help you. So if you do get stuck and if you do the art of Googling and still can't figure it out, that's when I want you to write some comments. And then I want the community to start collaborating with this, because we're all developers and we're all in it together. So I'll definitely be here to answer any questions you have, but I want you to get in the mindset of trying to help yourself first. On one of my other full stack videos, I know a lot of people had some issues with SQL Server, and I did preface the video saying machines are all different. You're going to have different user permissions, different setups than I have. So there's going to be a good chance that if you have any connection issues or installation issues, I'm probably not going to be able to help you out. But searching the internet and Googling your problem has a very high degree of finding someone else with the same issue you had. So I wanted to get that all out of the way because this is going to be a 7-part series, and the last few videos are going to have the meat of everything. And I'm very excited for you to see everything that's going on. It got me excited. I hope it gets you excited. Without further ado, let's get into things. All right, so just like always, we're going to do npx create React app, and we're going to call it my journal app. Hit enter, let it do its thing, and see you back here in a sec. Now that it's done, we're going to cd my journal, and then just hit tab, enter, and then code space period enter. And that will go ahead and open up our VS Code that we can see here. Go into our source folder, app.js, and let's start removing things. We're pretty much just going to remove everything there. Delete the logo, basic setup. We're going to change this to const app and then arrow function. We'll go here. We can delete this because I don't do unit tests. Our app.css, control A, delete everything there. Our index.js is good. We'll get rid of report web vitals. Get rid of that. Probably don't need the index.css. Can get rid of report web vitals, set up tests, logo, and now I'm going to go here, file, save all. We'll do a quick npm run start to make sure everything works properly. Bada boom, there we are. Right click, open up our console, make sure there's no errors, and we are good to start with our app. So going back to our app, we're gonna go ahead, go to our app.js, and actually we're gonna go here to our source folder. We're gonna click a new folder, we're gonna call it home. Inside of home, we're gonna have a new file called home.js. We're also going to create a new file called home.scss. Once we do that, we're going to go down here, open up a new terminal window, do npm I sas -- save. That's going to go ahead and install Dart Sass. That is going to be our CSS compiler. Now we'll go over here to our package JSON and our scripts. We're going to write a script for Sass, and pretty much it's going to be really simple. It's going to be Sass -- no source map -- watch, and then a period. There we go. Save that. Now if we go over here, we'll go into our home. We'll just type app and display block, just make sure this works. Then we'll go down to our terminal, npm run sass. You can see there, it just found our script. It should be able to load our package now for Sass watching. Sometimes it might take a little bit to get started up, but let's see what happens. There we go. So we see now compiled our home SCSS to home.css, which is right there. And then in our home.js, we import quote period / home.css. Now I do this for all of my projects just because, again, if you're going to take this to an interview, that's actually how I got my current job. They said, hey, bring a project you've recently created to the interview and let's talk about it. So doing this shows that you're forward thinking about architecture, about compiling, you're knowledgeable about both SCSS and CSS. So I always just do it anyways out of force of habit, but now we've got it imported into our app. So I will do const home equals arrow function. We'll just do a quick return statement with a div that says home. And we'll go down export default home. There we go. We'll go into our app.js. We will import home. You can see it there. Love VS Code. Hit enter. And then now if we go here, home, bada boom. We hit save. We go back to our browser and we can see home is right there. So like the title mentions, this is just going to be creating the home component and getting that to look good, or our home page, not home component, my apologies. So back to our VS Code. Now we're going to create another folder called navbar. We're going to do the same exact thing, create navbar.js and create navbar.css. SCSS. We can see in real time, since this is just running in our console, it automatically populated navbar.css. So I believe in the basic app, we do have React DOM. We do need to import React Router DOM. So we're gonna go and open up another terminal. npm I react-router-dom. Go ahead and get that installed. And now that that is installed, we're going to go to our app.js and actually, we are going to create a context. Let's do that first. So we're going to collapse navbar. We're going to right click on source, new file. We'll call it store context.js. So we're gonna do a couple things. We're gonna import use context. Yep. And it just did it automatically. Awesome. We're gonna do create context. And we're gonna do use state. And we can import all those things from React. Const store context is going to equal create context. We'll have it as just a null to start. Oops, there we go. And then now we're going to export const store provider. Sorry, typing a little fast here. And then arrow function. All right. We're going to return a store context dot provider. And that needs to be a capital P. Inside there, we'll have children. So up here, we're going to deconstruct children. And in our provider, we're going to have a value prop. And so we need to actually set a couple things. First, we're going to do is store updated. And then set is store updated. We'll call that true right off the bat. All right, next. We're just gonna hit Shift-Alt-Down arrow. We'll call it store. We're gonna change this to set store. Use state is now gonna be empty. And then we'll do down one more. We'll call it search state. And then set search state. Now we're going to take all of those and we're going to drop them in the value here in an object. Store, set store, search state, set search state is store updated, and set is store updated. Save this file. We're also going to now export const use store. We're going to arrow function that to use context. We're going to do store context. I'm assuming that for the most part you're familiar with React at an intermediate level. But really cool stuff we're going to do here. This context provider allows us to essentially not need to use Redux. I'm sure you all have heard that React partners with Redux. You probably worked on projects with Redux. Using this allows us to just create a context, and then anywhere in our app we can import the store context or use context and be able to pull out whatever's already stored in there. Now I'll cover that once we get to that point. It'll make a lot more sense. But for now, we're going to move on to our navbar. So we're going to go here to our app. I said navbar, but we're getting there. So here we're going to do our store provider. And we're also going to now do some imports. We're going to import some things from React Router DOM. So we're going to do browser router as router, comma, routes, and then route. Try saying that 5 times fast. All right, and then from React Router DOM. Now in our store provider, we're going to have a router. In our router, we are then going to have our navbar component to be created in just a second. And then from there, we are going to have our routes. And then we will have a route. So for our routes, we're going to have just a base path of just a /. That's going to be an element equal to our home component. All right, we'll end that there. Down here in the terminal, let me get rid of this terminal. We can see that we got an error here about the navbar. That's fine. Let's jump over to there now quick. So we're going to import a link from React Router DOM. And we're going to import our navbar.css. Boom. Now we're going to make our navbar component. We're going to return the nav element. I'm a big fan and supporter of, oh gosh, I'm forgetting the name of it right now. Semantic HTML, that's the name. So sometimes you'll see libraries like Bootstrap or Material UI, they'll use so many nested divs. And a lot of times, at least in the middle days, about a year or two ago when I last used them, they would omit certain elements like the nav element or the nav bar, or they would just make everything a div with a div with the span with the div. And that's nonsense. If you want to be a good developer, you need to learn semantic HTML because companies are finding a lot of value in accessibility. Accessibility is where people of disabilities for both hearing and seeing will equally need to be able to use the internet. And so being able to build things with semantic HTML will allow companies to help support those users with ease. So we'll give that a class name of navbar. And here we're going to have an unordered list. We're going to have an LI. We're actually going to have 3 LIs. The first one, we're just going to have link. And it needs to be link to /, and that's going to be called home. And we'll take care of the other ones later. For now, we'll just get this. Actually, we'll just do it now. Yeah. So we'll do then create and then search. These are going to be our 3 pages for our application. Now we need to export default navbar. And let's go back to our app.js. We can now see navbar is there. Line 15, that should be good now. Oh, we need to import our navbar, which an easy way to do this, by the way, is just go ahead and delete it. Start typing in navbar again. We can see it's right there. Boom. We can see VS Code just imported it. Now we can close it down and it's been compiled successfully. So we'll go here and we can see our navbar is now there. So if we click home, we're good. Create, we can now see the URL changed. Search, we can see that. If we click home again, the home element pops up. And this is why I get excited about things, because we've now created a home page with a navbar and we can see in real time that it works. Ah, it's so cool. I get excited about it. Okay, so let's style something. Our navbar, for example, we're just gonna go to the SCSS. All right, so now let's do just a little bit of styling here. We're gonna go ahead and use some modern SCSS syntax. So we're gonna create something called underscore colors.scss. Okay, we're gonna deal with my color scheme. I'm a big fan of dark themes. As a developer for the last 7-8 years, I hate looking at stark white screens or bright colors. When you look at a screen all day, you really want to take it easy on your eyes. So having the dark theme extension, which I have here on Google Chrome, it's called Dark Reader. Like if I switch that on, it literally it inverts all the colors on the website. Oh, it's so much easier on the eyes. So when I came up with this color scheme, we are going to use a dark theme. So we're going to do nav background color, and that's going to be hash 0b0c10. We're also just going to create a couple other color defaults here. So font color hash C5, C6, C7. I'm going to do main background hash 1F2833. And this will be blue font bright. Pardon me. That's going to be 66F CF1. Forgot a couple caps there. And then we're going to do a font dark. It's going to be hash 45A29E. So a really cool thing you can do, I'm not really great with figuring out colors and all that stuff. Yeah, we'll go here. So if you just search for complementary colors, like we can see here, complementary dark colors for the web, there's plenty of options to help you pick some stuff out. I think I went here and trolled through some options, and like right here they have a number of examples to just use for dark themes and stuff. So really easy. Going back to our app though, we're going to save this. We're going to now go back to our navbar.scss. we're going to do @use, and we're going to navigate to our colors. And then we're going to do navbar and make some stuff for it. So we'll have a height of 50 pixels. We'll have the background color of colors dot nav background color. So I mean, just this right here, we can see already our nav background color is being imported from our colors SCSS. So that's another reason why I really like Sass as a compiler. I know there's a few others out there like Less. I haven't worked with them too much, so I've mainly just become an expert in Sass. So we're just gonna keep doing that. We'll do display grid. Doesn't do much. Actually, I'll bring this to the side so we can kind of see things in real time here. And we'll do justify content, and we'll do space between. Now we're going to go and target the unordered list. So make padding left 15 pixels. Align self-center. We'll display this as a grid. And we're going to create some grid template columns. I literally just type GTC and then hit enter because VS Code is awesome. So we're going to create 3 columns. We'll have a min max. The first is going to be min dash content, and then the second is going to be 100 pixels. Now you can see there, right? We started to get some change going on, which is really exciting. If you ever get in a side like this and you want to make sure all your code is not falling off the screen, if you're on Windows, do Alt-Z, and that'll bring everything wrapped. Now we're going to target our anchor tags. So we'll do f size 24 pixels, font weight. It's going to be bold. And then text decoration, we're going to have none. And text decoration, you'll see right here after I save it, it gets rid of the underscore. Okay, and then color is going to be colors, colors dot font color. Bada boom, there we go. So we have this now. Oh, I gotta fix that. That's obviously spelled wrong. Let's do create. There we go. I believe I still have maybe some decoration on the unordered list, but that's fine for right now. Why don't we do we'll do list style type none. Yeah, and there we go. That gets rid of it. So I'll show you exactly what that means. So if we comment both of these out, right, I still had the list style types there. If I do none, it gets rid of those disks, right? And we don't want those there. Cool. Our nav bar is set up. Now let's move forward just with styling the home. All right. So before we move on to that real quick, I want to show you a really good, useful link. So there's something called Reset CSS. I am a big fan of it because the browser will typically have built-in styles that, you know, Chrome does, Edge, Firefox, Safari. They all kind of have their in-browser preset CSS for things. I like doing just a full CSS reset. Like example, we can see here that this unordered list, if we inspect it here, our nav bar just seems to have, right, some weird default styling in it. Like our body tag has margin already, and that's just, it takes too much effort to try and override those. So what I do is I copy all of this. I believe that's all it is. Yeah, so go ahead and let's just copy all of this. I'll pause here so you can see this, and I'll actually make an effort to put this in the description as well. But if I forget, we're here, look at it, copy it. Let's go back over to our project, our source. We'll create a new file. We'll call it app.scss, and we'll go ahead and just full paste that in there. Great. Our app CSS automatically got that compiled, and now we look over here, we don't have that border. Isn't that lovely? Isn't that lovely? Like if I cut all that and I save it, right, we can see here the default styling. If I paste it back in and save it, we can see here it all went away. Oh, things to make your life so much easier. All right, so we got our nav bar now set up, right? Bada boom. Let's target our home. So going back with semantic HTML, we're going to create a section tag. Inside that section, we're just going to get rid of that div there. We're going to have an H1. Oops. There we go. And it's going to be welcome to your journal. I'm going to say Kevin because, you know, it's me. It's Kevin. Hit save. Boom. We can see that right there. Awesome. We're going to go back to our source. We're going to create a new file. We're going to call it _page-body SCSS. Now, typically when you see function names or file names with Sass with an underscore, they are meant to be, I guess there's a little bit different controversy on how it's used. I've typically seen it used as these are universals. So these are things that can be shared between files, between components. And that's my intent for creating these. So we're going to create a mixin, which for Sass, mixins are awesome to help us write dry code, not wet code. Right? Dry code is don't repeat yourself. Wet code is write everything twice. We don't want to write wet code. So we'll call this page body. And I mean, it's kind of just like writing a JavaScript component, right? But now it's just for CSS. So we'll have a height of max content. Oops. We'll display grid. We'll have GTC. We're going to do 0.1 FR, 1 FR, 0.1 FR. GTA, not Grand Theft Auto, but grid template areas. If you haven't learned grid, definitely learn it. I very rarely use display block or display inline block, or like there's very niche use cases for those in my career. But if I'm going to design a page or like design layouts or need to make things work properly, if I just need it to get side by side, I'll do display flex. If I need any more complexity than that, I auto default to display grid, because you can have just so much more control over your grid template and just grid columns and all that. So our background color is going to be colors dot main, oops, we need to do a $, main background. Yeah, why don't we add the media right now? So we'll do a media query. You'll see this pop up, hit enter. I'll do then and max width of 900 pixels. And when it's 900 pixels, we'll just have the grid template columns to be one column, and then the GTA to just be body. All right. So now we're going to go back to our home .scss. We're going to use our colors. This we're going to actually import our page body. Note, so this is this video is in 2022. Dart Sass is talking about removing the ability for the import tag. I'm not a fan that they're planning to remove it. They're making some arguments where the use tag is just better. I beg to differ, but for right now, we're just going to do this. So our anchor tags are going to have text decoration of none. And then our home, oops, we're going to include page body. And you have to make sure it's a function. All right. And let's make sure that that worked. Okay, so we actually need to call this section home. Class name, home. There it is. Now you can see we got this like dark background going on. Okay, so we're gonna have this h1 wrapped in a div. We're gonna have the div called class name home underscore journal dash container. The h1 is gonna have a class name of header of home underscore, oops, sorry, just one underscore, my bad, header. And in our home.css, we're going to go ahead and make a few things for those. So our and underscore journal container. Actually, yeah, we'll be fine. So do grid area, body. Let's make one for our header too, so we can actually see it. Font size is going to be 36 pixels. Our color is going to be colors.font color. Align self center. Oops, center. And oops, and that's because I spelled colors wrong. There we go. Yeah, so there it is. You can see that there now. All right, so now in our journal container, we'll make our margin top 30 pixels to give some space there, right? We don't want it all mushed up against each other. We'll display flex direction is column. Flex grow will have 1 gap of 50 pixels, and our min height is going to be 1,000 pixels. So, some explanation here. I am using display flex for this example, and the reason is because flex grow will allow our page to scale as our page, like if we're on mobile, right, this obviously needs to shrink to match the mobile environment, because you are probably going to want to do this on your phone. I mean, I do. But this will just allow us to, when we do start displaying our journal squares, if we do shrink it, it'll allow everything to grow with it. So Ladies and gentlemen, that is our homepage. Thanks for sticking around with me. Our next lesson will be building out the journal squares and start connecting those into the homepage. So to pick up where we left off, our next goal is to make our journal entry square. We're going to do that here under our source folder. We're actually going to create a new folder and call it journal entry square. Now, this is just architectural thought process. We're going to also create a new folder called components, which I should have done before.